Hello. I've had a number of clients who've talked to me about having issues with around hamstrings, hips, and I just want to go through a bit of a mobility routine that I tend to use when each morning, and certainly before I go out for any kind of hard or long run these days. And I am going to turn around and say I am nowhere near perfect in terms of the poses that you'll see me do here. I'm not a yoga specialist, but this is the routine that I do. So I started, as you saw there, in Cobra pose. So I'm looking at strengthening and lengthening my spine and my back. I'm trying to help improve my posture by doing so. And I moved from Cobra, having been in that pose for about 20 seconds, into child's pose, where I'm stretching the hips, the thighs, and the back. It helps to relieve tension. It helps to bring mental focus and a reset button. And I move from Cobra into child's pose between 6 and 8 times, just holding it there for about 20 seconds or so. Having done that, I then move on to all fours. And I'm now going to go into the cow cat movement. So, as we're looking at the cow pose, we're inhaling, we're taking a nice breath as we go into the cow pose. Our head coming up and our back almost falling down towards the floor. And as we go into cat pose, we should be rounding our back up, probably a little more than I am in this video, to be honest. And our head coming down so it's almost looking towards the navel. And just that movement backwards and forwards, helping to mobilize the spine and improve posture. And having done that, I then just tilt my pelvis backwards and forwards just a number of times. When we're running, we want to try and have the pelvis tilted forwards. It helps in our forward movement when we're running. So this movement is to try and help the spine and pelvic mobility. It can help in reducing lower back pain and also helps just increase body awareness. And following that, I put my feet one over the other and I twist my legs side to side, my head following where my feet are going to. And this again is just to try to get some movement into my hips. Having done that, I then want to work on my hamstring. So I bring myself into downward dog. So trying to make sure that we've got the bum in the air. You've got a good stretch into the hamstring. So I've got a little bit of a bend there in one of my legs, but we're trying to really make sure that the calves, the hamstrings, feel a really good stretch. You feel them lengthened. Leave that there for a moment and then start to do what we call walking the dog. So we're then starting to just go forwards and backwards and allowing the calf and the hamstring on each side to do some movement. This helps deepen the stretch, helps improve ankle flex, and reduces tension in tight hamstrings. Going back in, I'll then go into what we call a 3-leg downward dog. So we're then putting one of your legs up into the air, and this helps open up the hip flexors and gives a more intense stretch to the hamstrings. So I'll spend about 15 to 20 seconds there, and I'm then bringing myself into what we call the world's greatest stretch. So I've pulled my foot all the way forwards, and I'm now reaching out behind me on that same side where I've just lunged my foot into. So I'm going to do the same on the other side. So just do a bit of walking first, just to get myself ready, and then leg back into the air. So you can see I've obviously got very tight hamstrings here. That leg should be much straighter than it is in my video. And again, we're just trying to lengthen that leg out. And we're coming into a lunge position and back into the world's greatest stretch. The world's greatest stretch helps hips, the thoracic spine, but also the ankles. It helps improve hip mobility, increased hip mobility, and improved thoracic spine mobility as well, and should help you with better balance and coordination. This is a particularly good stretch and mobilization if you sit a lot. I then tend to bring myself into an elevated lunge or split squat position. So my back foot is on my toes and I've got a small pulse movement which is taking place. This targets the hip flexors, the glutes, and the hamstrings and improves the ability to them to stretch and contract. It also helps improve, coordinate movement in what we would describe as a challenging position. I tend to do about 12 on each side of this. To try and help my hip a bit, but also help with ankle mobility, I then bring myself back into a lunge position. And really the movement here is from the knee. So I'm starting to rotate the knee backwards, in a circle, round and round. It's providing a degree of hip mobility and rotation, but also you can see there that the ankle is having to do quite a bit of work in terms of its movement as well. And I will tend to do about 20 to 30 seconds in one direction, and then I'll tend to turn that round and do about 20 to 30 seconds in the opposite direction. This exercise also helps strengthen stabilizers and indeed the mobility of your stabilizers as well. So once you've done about 30 seconds on one leg, switch onto the other, and again you're trying to using the knee as the almost your part that you're getting to do the movement from, get that hip mobility into place. And you can see how important it is this. Even for me, from the right hand leg, which I've done first, to the left, you can see that I've got greater mobility on my right hand side. So this is really trying to help that mobility that I've got on my left hand side. Having done that, I bring myself into what I would describe as a mild pigeon pose. I'm not trying to bring my foot all the way up to a 90-degree angle as we would if we were doing a proper pigeon stretch. The benefit of what I'm doing here is I'm trying to make sure that the hip is getting inward and external mobility. So I've brought the foot just inside of the pelvis, and I'm literally just going from side to side and trying to bring my hip all the way down to the ground to get that mobility into it. I'll probably do about 12 on one side and 12 on the other. And as you can see here, the starting point is that actually I'm up in quite a high position. I've got my arms fairly high, straight. You will see in a moment that we'll do the same exercise, but then with our arms down on the ground. So as I'm going each time, I'm trying further and further to pull that hip down towards the ground to get that mobility into it. Just trying to get some really good mobilization and mobility. So once I've done with my arms up elevated, I then come down, and apologies, not so clear on the video, but I'm now leaning with my hands, sorry, with my arms on the ground rather than almost in a high plank position. I'm just doing exactly the same thing again. I'm just rotating that hip until it can come right down onto the ground. And again, I haven't gone into a full pigeon pose here. This is just about making sure that there is enough uh, m- uh, positioning of the knee and of the foot so that as you're trying to go into some mobility and rotation of the hip, you've just got enough there. It's not about trying to stretch into a full pigeon pose. I'm just starting here now to do what I call windscreen wipers. So I've almost got my arms in a cross position. I've got my knees, legs at 90 degrees, and I'm just going side to side. So this helps predominantly with your lower back and just easing up your lower back. And just do 10 to 12 on each side, around 24 in total, or as many as you so wish. I think lots of people really enjoy this exercise in terms of how it feels on that lower back. And then trying to do some 90-90s. So 90-90s help internal and external rotation of the hips. They help improve hip joint health, particularly where stiffness can build and will certainly build over the course of time. The idea is to try to bring one knee over as far as it can before you're lifting the other knee off of the ground, and then starting to allow the other knee to follow through. You'll find if you do this exercise a lot, you'll start to really find the ability to be able to lift one knee and get it over as far as you can before the other one needs to move, improve significantly over time. You'll also find you start to slip down the mat, as you can see me doing during the course of this video. The final thing I do as part of my mobility routine is I just work on some ankle mobility. So I tend to find a band. I find that works better than perhaps a towel. But all I'm doing here is movement with my foot. So I'm trying to get the foot to come up and down. But that movement is all from the ankle. So to start with, I'll go up and down using the band for the resistance. Apologies, not so easy to see from the way I videoed this, but you can see the movement of going backwards and forwards, and then I start to do it side to side. What I'm trying not to allow to happen, albeit it is really hard, is to let the entire leg move. This is about the ankle moving and getting movement in the ankle. And then I do so on the other side. So exactly the same. Foot forwards first, forwards and backwards, trying to make sure that that movement is all coming from your ankle to improve ankle mobility each time you're landing on the ground, and allowing you to move well between heel and toe when you're in your movement. And again, I'm trying to go side to side. And as you can see here, this is the side where I find that more difficult, in the same way that my hip has slightly less movement in it on my left hand side to my right. I now find it harder as well in terms of my mobility, in part because I've allowed that foot to need to take more of the pressure because of the lack of mobility within my hip. So needing to work well on both. So I hope that's been useful. That's what I do. Take care.